I'm going to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to remain standing.
Your presence reflects your firm belief in the transformative power of Intra-African Trade Fair, as well as the enduring bond of friendship we enjoy. And to you, our sponsors, the exhibitors, buyers, performers, and indeed our youth, on whom our future lies, I say a big welcome. And big thanks for rising to the opportunity the trade fair offers. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we must all be proud to have reignited the flame lit decades ago, but which prematurely burned out. The Organization of African Unity held the first ever Pan-African Trade Fair in 1972. The All-Africa Trade Fair, as it was then branded, was held under the theme to promote intra-African trade, intensify the approach.
Your Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa. Financial partners, ministers and government officials present, captains of industries, and other businessmen, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, Mr. President, I wish to specifically thank you for inviting me to attend this program. Let me at the outset convey on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria and myself our deepest condolences at the passing of the former President of South Africa, Mr. Frederick William de Klerk. Together with former President Mandela, they gave birth to a new South Africa. I send my condolences to his family and friends. Today is a great day for Africa as we start our collaborative journey towards collective economic prosperity through the African Continental Free Trade Area. I very much look forward to seeing more African products manufactured in Africa using African resources. Let me start by congratulating the African Union Commission, the African Continental Free Trade Export-Import Bank, for their dedication and relentless effort in seeing this very worthy initiative become a reality. I also commend the people of Durban for hosting this year's Intra-African Trade Fair. I sincerely hope that we will witness milestone agreements among African businesses at this gathering. Through these gatherings, we will be laying a solid foundation for future business-to-business and government-to-government cooperation. Most of Africa's existing challenges, whether security, economy, or corruption, can be traced to our inability over the years to domesticate the production of our most basic requirements and provide jobs to our teeming and dynamic youth population. Under the African Continental Free Trade Area, we can double our African trade by 2030, reduce our reliance on imports, and therefore create more jobs within the continent. We cannot achieve this goal by talking alone. The implementation will be a difficult journey. But all challenges are surmountable if both the public and private sectors collaborate. On the public sector side, governments must support local entrepreneurs to build scale and therefore improve productivity. This means providing incentives to encourage our businesses to formalize and comply with laid down regulations. Free trade must also be fair, and fairness can only be achieved when there is full compliance with regulations, especially those relating to rules of origin. The African Continental Free Trade Area is for made in Africa products and services. Africa must be a marketplace where no country is left behind. As we implement, we must ensure that we create jobs and enhance revenues for all parties. We must leverage on one another's strengths to succeed. Our business people must key into existing regional value chains or build new ones, either to extend operations into the higher value segments of their industries or to satisfy the area's rules of origin requirements. The Intra-African Trade Fair is uniquely positioned to help in these areas. Let me assure you that Nigeria has come to Durban in full force to actively participate in this very important trade fair and take full advantage of all the opportunities it provides. We have streamlined the country's participation under one roof to enable you access all the information you need. As many as are aware, in the past 5 years, Nigeria has made significant strides towards the diversification of our economy from an oil revenue-dependent country to a nation with diverse revenue sources. We were able to achieve this by putting in place fiscal, monetary, and trade policies that support investments and investors in key sectors such as agriculture, mining, telecommunications, and digital economy, banking and financial services, tourism, and manufacturing. We also introduced reforms, key institutions, as well as policies to fight corruption and ease the way of doing business in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria is open for business. I wish you all a very successful fair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. That concludes the special remarks from our special guests, the heads of state.
I would also like to thank my brothers and sister in the form of the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, who couldn't come but sent President Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar, was also Vice President of the United Republic of Tanzania, for honoring me and KwaZulu-Natal, and South Africa by your presence at this Intra-Africa Trade Fair. It doesn't often happen that heads of state attend trade fairs. I don't know what you've come to buy. It's possible you've come to buy something, but I want to thank you for having honored me by your presence here when I called some of you. You gladly accepted the invitation to come. So thank you very much for being here. On the 1st of January in 2021, this year, the African Continental Free Trade Area commenced trading, making this trade fair the first to take place since we reached the most significant milestone in our quest for African economic integration. In 2018, the first Intra-Africa Trade Fair opened in Egypt, in the ancient city of Cairo. Today, it is opening here in the southernmost tip of our African continent. In due course, we hope that this trade fair will be held in many other parts of our continent, as it has already proven since we held the first one in Egypt, that it enhances trade. And our mission as Africans is to enhance trade and integration on our continent. So this fair belongs to all of us. The goods and products and services exhibited at this fair represent all the countries of Africa, and its success rests on the participants who are going to be participating here. The AFCTA aspires to connect all the regions of Africa to deepen economic integration and to boost intra-African trade and investment. This AFCTA of ours aspires to create a single market for goods and services across our 55 countries on our continent, creating a market of as much as 1.3 billion people with a combined GDP of $3.4 trillion. This trade fair is about building bridges. It is about connecting countries. It is about connecting people as well. It brings together governments, buyers, investors, entrepreneurs, manufacturers from more than 55 countries, in many ways to give life to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. The countries of Africa are open for business. Since ancient times, trade has been the engine that connected our people and communities, both near and far. From the ancient centers of learning like Alexandria, Timbuktu, to the northern civilizations in Egypt, Carthage, the western kingdoms of Ghana, Mali, Songhai, trans-Saharan trade routes, the eastern trading centers of Zanzibar, Mombasa, Mogadishu, to the ancient southern civilizations of Great Zimbabwe and Mapungubwe. For many centuries, Africans traded goods that they produced themselves. Throughout history, Africa has had a network of trade routes that facilitated the flow of goods such as gold, beads, gum, metalworks, salt, textiles, metals, and many others. These trade routes enabled African traders to seek out markets also beyond our continent. Colonialism deepened the damage that has been wrought on our continent, but it also damaged the indigenous development of African trade and caused a great deal of harm to our societies, and in many ways destroyed all those trade routes and interconnectedness that we had for centuries on our continent. At first, Europeans traded in African lives, carrying millions of slaves across the Atlantic to produce the wealth of their newfound colonies. The wealth that resides in the United States, that dazzles so many people, the wealth that resides in Europe that dazzles so many people, in large part is wealth that originated from this continent. Then, with the realization of Africa's vast raw materials, colonial powers turned to the extraction of Africa's minerals and agricultural products. Much of the economic storyline of colonialism persists to this day. Now Africa is taking concrete steps to write its own economic success story. And this Intra-Africa Trade Fair is part of that story. Africa is opening up new fields of opportunity. One such opportunity is Africa's rapid adoption of locally developed fintech, of which companies such as M-Pesa is the most well-known and globally known. It is an example of financial and technological innovation in which Africa leads the world. A recent report by the Brookings Institution notes that Africa is already the largest adopter of mobile money transfer systems, comprising nearly half of the globe's registered mobile money customers. Approximately 70% of global mobile money transactions and 2/3 of the transactions by volume and by value as well. It is by harnessing all our capabilities, both existing and emerging, that we will accelerate our continent's economic growth and integrated development. It is our expectation that this trade fair will further cement its position as Africa's premier trade platform, where African manufacturers and producers can promote and sell more goods labeled "Made in Africa." I think many of us long to see that wonderful and golden label where we will see "Made in Africa," not made anywhere else in the world. This is critical if we are to change the distorted trade relationship that exists between African countries and the rest of the world. We can no longer have a situation where Africa exports raw materials and imports finished goods made with those materials. We can no longer have a situation where the resources of Africa provide employment and add value in other economies, while so many of our people live in poverty and conditions of underemployment. By promoting trade between African countries, we are strengthening our own continent's industrial base and ensuring that we produce goods for ourselves and for each other. Two key developments of global significance can serve as a stimulus for Africa to act in unison. Firstly, the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic in the first quarter of 2020 exposed the frailty of African economies. More importantly, it sent a powerful message to our continent about the dangers of over-reliance on external sources to meet its growing demand for food, medicines, and essential supplies. It clearly demonstrated that Africa needs to produce its own food and medicines, to strengthen continental supply chains, and to invest in infrastructure and capacitate African institutions. To illustrate the extent of the challenge, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa estimates that Africa imports about 94% of its pharmaceutical and medicinal needs from outside the continent at an annual cost of $16 billion. Secondly, the African Continental Free Trade Area has the potential to accelerate economic growth across the continent and create opportunities for entrepreneurs, for small and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations to flourish. The AfCFTA will provide new export opportunities for made-in-Africa products and enable member countries to trade with each other without tariffs or other hindrances. All of this will, in the end, help the continent to absorb the young people on our continent looking to enter the job market annually. The AfCFTA should therefore be underpinned by strong and ambitious rules of origin, requiring a very high level of value add here and on our continent. We need, as Africans, to resist the temptation to simply become transshipment centers, adding only limited industrial value to the products that are traded on our continent. The AfCFTA will unlock more value and give effect to the dream of African development if it promotes complementary trade between countries. It is about using the combination of the continent's raw materials and industrial capacity, which must grow, but also using the finance, the services, and infrastructure to produce quality finished goods to local and global markets. It is about creating a market that is large enough to attract investors from across the world to set up their production facilities on our continent, but to do so on our terms. We need to leverage platforms such as the Intra-African Trade Fair to mobilize all African governments together with our social partners to work tirelessly to address youth unemployment. Half of Africa's population are women. In fact, more than half. And they are the dominant actors in the informal sectors on Africa's economic landscape. But despite this, women only generate around a third of the continent's combined GDP. It is important that the Intra-Africa Trade Fair should give special attention to African women in business, recognizing their great potential as drivers of economic change across the continent.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for